Debbie, you cracked me up. Yes, I did. I hardly ever wear lipstick, even though I have a brand called Fancy Farm Girl. This and now, as I look at myself in the screen right now, I'm like, oh, who's that? So it's crazy.
The woman you don't know, the sister you didn't know you
Right.
had. Fancy Farm Girl is our final rosé of the evening, but not the final one of the season. This too, you just released it. What's in it? What did you use to make it?
True story. Just released the 2020, and I always try to keep right up on the current vintage year with rosés. I think it's something I look forward to anyway, every like March, April, May to be ready to launch the new rosé. This one is well, it kind of cracks me up because when we talk about methods of how to make rosé, yes, there's all the ones we've heard about all night about saignée and red, minimize contact with the grape skins with the red wines and stuff like that. And my apologies as I talk about how I make this wine because I have to think back to my days when I was at Pillitary Estates as a winemaker for Pillitary for 10 years before I started my own winery. And Mrs. Pillitary would say to me, Suen, how did you make out this wine? Right? And I said, well, Mrs. Pillitary, I made a little bit of Riesling and I put a little bit of Cabernet Franc or Merlot or whatever into it. A little bit of red into the what? It makes such a nice wine, isn't it? So this is a 90, that's a long story, as it was 95% Riesling with 5% Cabernet Franc added to it. I get completely beaten up by my winemaker friends telling me that I'm making bastardized Rieslings. I'm taking absolutely gorgeous Rieslings and adding red wine to them. And I take it on the chin every time because I just love the brightness, the acidity, the freshness that Riesling offers to the wine and to the blend. And then in this case, Cabernet Franc adds a little bit of the color, obviously, but then some tannin and some richness and roundness to the wine as well. So I think it's pretty cool.
It's really good. And Riesling, for those of your fans who are already online, know that Riesling is your calling card in so many ways. And so, not surprised that this bottle has a little bit of Riesling in it.
That's right, and there's so many wines of mine that are Riesling based. There's dry, off dry, semi dry. Some years an ice wine as well, made out of Riesling, because Riesling truly is one of the most versatile grapes in the peninsula or in the world. And in my case, we even make it into a rosé. So um, it's cute. I remember a story from I believe it was the Ontario Wine Awards, and so here's all the wine writers going through the wines, and it was John Zabo from Wine Line, who master sommelier, wine taster extraordinaire, and I guess as he was going through the lineup of rosés, he got to mind. Of course, these wines are blind; they have no idea what they're tasting, and he like. That Suan's Fancy Farm Girl rosé. I see the Riesling, but I see the red, and it works. And so, anyways, kind of fun. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you're not having fun with making your wine, why bother? And I certainly get that vibe from you um, all the time when we do these special events. It's got to be fun, and Fancy Farm Girl is certainly one of those. It just makes you smile just even looking at the name, and then you get wowed by the wine when you do have a sip. So congratulations, keep up that
uh,
good work.
Thanks so much. It was a fun wine, a fun brand to put together as well. That I had been accused of being a fancy farm girl in the past, and I didn't know if it was flattery or sarcasm. And so I thought, well, let's just have some fun with it and start a brand called Fancy Farm Girl. And so there's a multitude of wines in the there's always three, if not up to six wines in that whole series. But it's the Fancy Farm Girl Foxy Pink that is the one that I don't know. It seems to line up with the brand the best and is the one that resonates the most. And so I joke that if you talk about the wine and you don't put the Foxy in Foxy, whether it's your voice, your attitude, or your pink feather bow that you're wearing, if you don't do something like that, then there's a $5 fine. And so that's one of the fear factors or risks that come with drinking the Fancy Farm Girl Foxy Pink. So
Foxy pink.
Foxy.
All right. I'll be cleaning up my purse just for you. Thank you.
I think.
So how did you become named uh, Fancy Farm Girl?
Well, my undergraduates from the University of Guelph, I knew I wanted to be a winemaker so early in my career, but or in my growing up years, I knew at 16 I wanted to be a winemaker. But at that time, there's only 5 schools that would teach winemaking at the university level in English in the world. And so I thought, well, I'll start off. I'll do the undergrad at Guelph, and I did my postgrad at Adelaide afterwards. That wasn't totally thought out at the time. But when I was at Guelph University, you know, I, I was on the varsity figure skating team, so I was like, prancing about, and it was the '90s, so I had the bangs that split off into both directions. There was all floof tear, and it probably didn't help that I had like the 6-speed manual transmission Trans Am with like the big golden eagle on the hood, and I'd go
You
through a
didn't.
crowd of people, and they'd be like, "Well, that's that fancy grape grower from Niagara," and I'm like, "That fancy Niagara grape farmer from Niagara," and I'm like, they're talking about me. Oh, okay. so, so I earned it, and it never really went away. But it's a fun brand because it seems like, people want to know a fancy farm girl or be a fancy farm girl. Their grandmother was one, so there's a way to identify and connect to it. And I think that's what's kind of fun about the Foxy Pink. It's just kind of builds on that persona of it as well.
So you're living the dream.
Living the dream, Debbie. Living the dream. Then this pandemic came along, so it's dreamy. But you see the end of it coming soon. So which is great. That little light at the end of the tunnel just keeps thinking it's farther away. But I know I speak for all the other fantastic winemakers on this call tonight that we just can't wait to bring people back to our properties and do what we do best, which is, hey, taste this, taste that, enjoy this, and really get a sense of what wine country is about, and all the heart and soul and pride that goes into making every single wine. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more for those who are on this call who haven't been to your winery. You've got Westcott and Flat Rock Cellars nearby. We actually had Nicolette from Good Earth say that she was just down the road from you. Yeah. You're in your grandmother's home, is that right? Place that you know so well?
Right. So I'm up here on top of the Niagara Escarpment, just west of St. Catharines. And yes, my closest neighbors are Flat Rock Cellars and Westcott. The farm has been in my family for over 200 years. So I'm the 7th generation on the farm, the 5th generation to grow grapes and live in the big old white farmhouse. So the last people to live here would have been my grandparents. My grandmother and grandfather would have been married for 65 years, and for 40 of the 60 years they would have lived in this home. So, and my grandfather actually was born in this house, and so so this is where the wine shop is. This is the hub of the property in a sense. So over my right shoulder is the kitchen, and that's where the wine tastings typically are when we actually have a retail shop running. No, when there's on a pandemic. Anyway, and then over my left shoulder is the dining room, and that's where some of the overflow tasting goes and happens, and that's on like the big weekends where we're super busy with hundreds of people on the property. So the goal is though to get the wine shop out of my house, and I joke that when that happens, it's like a country song played in reverse. I'll get my dining room back, I'll get my kitchen back, I might even get a boyfriend back. But because of the pandemic, I did get the boyfriend back from high school, but I really do want the dining room and kitchen back. So the whole story happened in a different story.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Good. Well, we're so glad that you've been a long-time Savvy fan, and for those of you who are new to Savvy Company event, one of the very first winemakers dinners that I hosted showcased you when you were at Pilotary, and that was a long time ago. But look at you now, girl. You're doing great.
It was 100 million years ago.
And your wines are fantastic. Some of them are at the LCBO. But better yet, support local and order directly from the winery or call on us, and because we've got lots of your wines here as well. And we always know how to get a hold of you, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, available winery only and through Debbie, of course. And then there is a small vintages hit with it in I think it was the middle of August. And I'm like Yvonne, we're like, when is it happening? So because it comes in like one line when we're told when it's released of like a multi-page document that comes from the LCBO. So anyway, there's a token 50 cases going out then. I think it's in a few grocery stores as well too. So, but not many anyway. So
Well, I think one of the pandemic secrets that got out was that you can have these things ordered and delivered to your front door. And I know with Savvy Company, we've been doing tons of that and really getting people into ordering our care packages or becoming subscribers to our wine club or introducing them to people like yourselves and all the winemakers that we featured tonight. And we talk about it in our newspaper. Have you seen our newspaper? We do this and we're actually on to a 4th edition. Our website hasn't been updated, but we've got 4 newspapers. But all that to say is it's a great way to keep in touch and build that community of wonderful people. Thank you, Sue-Ann. Keep up the great work. Love your wine.
thank you.
And of course, we love your boa and the lipstick. You should be selling that too.
Thank you. Always a joy. Always a pleasure, Debbie. Thanks so much.
Thanks.